for featured matchup. Maybe dwindle down here.
These are also probably two of the most positive teams in the North American LCS.
Yeah.
Smiles all the time, even in defeat, it seems.
Westrice doing a lot better in that top lane. He was kind of, I would say, a weak link for the first half of the split. He wasn't really performing or putting up any numbers, but recently he's really been a force to be reckoned with. Can't be pushed out of the split push, and he's making the pressure the team needs to create things around the map.
Yeah. There is so much stuff these teams are relying on banning right now. That stuff is always getting through as well.
It's, yeah.
Jax, TF, Lulu, Cast, and Yasuo. That means Lucian or Kayle are potential.
The bans have evolved throughout the week.
They actually have, yeah. Kayle has been falling to not necessarily a full ban worthy.
Right.
But then it gets first picked.
But it's still priority. You gotta get priorities in line. ZionSpartan and Crumbzz now on the other side, knowing they have a top laner in Westrice. Maybe.
Time to grab Elise. And I wonder if Imaqtpie goes to the Kog'Maw here. Because, I mean, Tristana has actually been a ban against compLexity for a while. PewDiePie doesn't seem like the type of player to play Trist. But Robert may not even pick it if they can't combo with Yasuo.
Right. That kind of takes out a composition itself with single bans. Good homework.
Yeah.
One small hanging fruit can destroy an entire composition. And it's going to be the Syndra lock-in for Shiphtur. He wants a controllable lane with the help of that Elise and Crumbzz, as you were saying.
Yeah, Syndra is the one to win the lane, not always the one to win the game. 45.5% win rate, as you can see in the North American LCS Summer split. But pretty much always doing well in lane, CS-wise, which has been Shiphtur's Achilles heel, really. He has not crushed people in lane.
Usually a low CS.
Yeah, he has this tremendous skill to always pick up kills in team fights.
Yep.
But he definitely doesn't take the enemy mid laners out of him.
Even when the odds are against him. He somehow makes the tricks work. We'll see what he can do on Syndra. If he can get the pressure down. A lot of people yesterday were flashing with that ultimate on them. Blowing a flash and then dying. You can really catch people off guard there. It was used to great effect. Kez and Prolly taking quite a bit of time. They already know what they're playing mid against, so they decide to go ahead and let that sway so he can see the rest of the team as Nami. And Kez picks up his Elise.
I'm very surprised they picked Nami with Braum.
Braum is, yeah.
Yeah, I would, with every support up, Bubbadub especially, and the defensive wall they could already build.
And the fact that KiWiKiD is one of the higher players of Braum right now.
Exactly. And if they wanted to, they could do Braum Lucian. One of the most
That's another interesting AD carry that has been kind of pushed to the wayside with all this late game effect coming into play.
Yep. While the Blade of the Ruined King build on Lucian is good, it's not to the same level as some of these Kog'Maw builds are coming.
Slapped in the head with an Infinity Edge. But we'll see it. You can still get the IE on those passive shots coming out of Lucian. It is going to be the Braum Lucian, so that's great for him. He won't have to worry about culling right into a shield. All those are going to be hitting. He just has to worry about an intervention coming at him. Let's see, RobertxLEE still with an AD carry to pick. As you mentioned earlier, the Yasuo composition is not there, which really allows an AD carry to be an initiator. Haven't really seen that since Ashe. But not this time. RobertxLEE with his troll pants on.
These guys...
Hey, Yorick's played. That's not a troll hover.
Yeah, so has had a pretty good Yorick game.
Guy's got to learn how to troll hover. Yeah. Oh wow! So he says, I don't care. Tristana still feels good in the lane. Still feels good out in the late game as the hyper carry queen. We'll see if that can happen.
Yeah, a lot of shields potentially.
Ooh. Another play for ZionSpartan on Irelia. It has been some time since he's had to bring this one out.
Yeah, best Irelia in North American LCS for ZionSpartan, I'd have to say. And he will be looking to punish Westrice a little bit. Irelia, one of the champions who can close the distance on Kayle and not get abused by the range advantage nearly as much as other top laners. So a solid pick there for Dig if they're going to let Kayle through in the match. I'm most concerned for compLexity's bottom lane early on. They do have a lot of harassment, but if Dignitas' team can get out of the laning phase into the team fight phase with that combo, how many tidal waves have we seen just destroyed by Braum's shield? It's really painful or sad to watch for the Nami player.
There was a few times yesterday KiWiKiD had the 3 or 4 of the tidal waves and then a few other ultimates. Everything just blocked. It's not something you're expecting to come into the fight. And if you're already engaged, that's a bad situation. So let's peek into the ballot box over at LOLesports.com to see how you've been voting. This one, another sway towards the big high-tier team of compLexity, or to Dignitas, 83% to compLexity 17. We saw that last time, but the underdog won.
Yeah, this Super Week has been... It's beginning to be the week of the underdog. We'll really see if it continues that way. So if you think it's changing, send either the hashtag COLWin or hashtag DIGWin to the @LOLesports account. compLexity thrives off of being the underdog. They've won 2 games where they were sub 10% in the vote.
Yeah.
They were the 6% or the 7% in those 2 games.
And I got to consider what the standings make them feel coming into these games as well. Being so many farther games away from Curse as they beat these top-tier teams, that just positions EG and compLexity farther at the bottom. And they're having trouble beating each other out in games as well.
Yeah, it's true. Curse really wants that 4th place back. That's where they're really trending towards. 8
always,
10.
Always.
8 and 10, actually, for Curse, meaning compLexity has a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah.
With Curse distancing themselves.
They do, and Dignitas would be a gigantic pickup as well coming in. Dig is a team to always win when they have a good lead, and by God, they usually get that lead quite quick in the game. Interesting fact about compLexity, they do the same, but they have to be somewhat given that lead in the beginning of the game. They don't find it for themselves.
Yeah. This compLexity team has jumped out to some big leads.
Yeah. If they get it, they can carry a snowball so well.
KiWiKiD always leading the charge at level 1 on Braum. Full confidence. Firing shots into the brush. Wow, what a sneaky little move by RobertxLEE. Means compLexity is going to get wards on both buffs. However, he walked by a ward.
Oh, dear.
Robert.
Mission Impossible begins. 1 minute into the game.
No.
Uh-oh.
No.
Don't flash.
No.
Don't do it yet.
He's got a suicide.
Okay, he took the dump.
He
took
hasn't
the
taken damage yet.
That was good. That was good. Woo! What a play!
All right.
Man, not even a minute in, we're already getting plays being made. But now this is a 4v5. What's Dig gonna do here? They can take some serious map control. Robert's already back up, quick spawns, but he's definitely not home guarding off the base.
Plays like that are why the 10,000th death happened in the LCS before the 10,000th kill. But RobertxLEE starting off right.
The answer is awesome. That's why.
And with the short death timers, he's back to lane. However, it does mean both teams have deep wards in each other's jungles.
I want to see how hard that QtPie and Kiwi could go on this, because if QtPie can hit nice piercing lights and get a few auto attacks on, Robert's not getting harassive E, so they could take a very early game lead in the bottom lane if they play it correctly.
Well, they didn't make it to lane immediately, so Robert and Bubbadub are going to be shoving as quickly as possible.
Prolly, Shiphtur in the mid lane, the featured matchup to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
And Shiphtur being quite aggressive already, throwing down all the Qs.
Prolly's a pretty good laner on Orianna. The things that have actually gotten Prolly in the
shield
most trouble
level 1
is his dying to ganks. He doesn't necessarily have the greatest jungler sense in the lane. He's very good at playing his matchup. Just the junglers mess him up too much.
He loses a little focus when he's about to get that kill. KiWiKiD, there's no focus in that brush from compLexity. KiWiKiD able to walk up and just one shot off of the concussive blows.
They would need 2 more minions down to hit level 2. Think they're going to make it in time. They're going to hit level 2 around the same time. Yep, they get it first.
Ooh. Kez, that ward was just placed
down,
over the wall. This is going to be a smite from the brush. Steals the red. He has called down from Shiphtur. This isn't even a move yet coming in from Prolly. Great play by Dignitas to be 1 step ahead.
Great early game jungle pathing there by Crumbzz. Going red to red.
Just talked about it last game. Happens this one. Awesome.
Westrice, though, knowing the jungler is far, far away.
Yeah, takes advantage.
Take a little chunk out of Zion.
That'll be nice for him.
He'll get that CS back at the turret.
We'll see if Westrice can be the first one to put a very nice game on Kayle. Like we said, people with that pick being so high priority, and Ban hasn't really brought out the games we've been expecting to see.
2 turret shots, not ideal.
That's a little different as I try to build him up. Should be all right. He can sustain, but he's chugging those potions down when he shouldn't have to just yet. You can see ZionSpartan went with the Flask in lane, knowing he'd be taking Q and E harass pretty much the whole time.
Pretty much happy to go Flask against Kayle or Elise Irelia. This is a matchup where Zion needs to hit level 7 or 9 before he really starts winning some trades against Westrice. Crumbzz with the double buffs. KiWiKiD on the other side with the single buff. Syndra with more early lane power. And no flash on KiWiKiD. Would mean some good things.
Ooh.
Nice jungle sense by Prolly. Honestly,
yeah, good jungle sense. Sitting on the ward. I like how he played that one. He gave Crumbzz a little bit of wasted time, and then he said, all right, I kind of want to farm my lane, so get out of here.
Get out of there, Crumbzz.
He's leveling his Q, trying to keep up with Shiphtur's ball placement as well. Get that damage out, trade in lane. 24 to 25 as they just CS back and forth. Looking pretty even for our featured matchup. Back to the top lane, ZionSpartan brings himself a Doran's and a little bit of health pot so he can keep up that damage. Just gonna see what the back from Westrice brings in here. He should teleport back to lane. And we'll see if compLexity stays with what they love. Early dragons have always been the name of their game, even before it was cool to do.
True. I know it doesn't count, but even when they were compLexity in the 2013 spring split with different players,
yeah,
they were pulling off early dragon
like
plays.
3-minute dragons.
With the Loudamortis and Prolly team.
That is true. compLexity have always had Dignitas' number. Still, let's go back in history again. compLexity versus Dignitas at MLG with Loudamortis. That was Dignitas' longest win streak in the LCS, and compLexity did it at a live event. They know what the stage is about. It doesn't scare them off, so always having that number on Dig. They seem to inch it in the early game and then be able to hold it. That game with Loudamortis getting 2 double kills, being a huge Cho'Gath. It was a really great play. When compLexity has the lead, they make some great calls. Zion not taking too much damage. Looks like he'll be a formidable opponent in the top lane for Westrice once that 6 hits. And before that 6 hits, actually, we're going to see a gank coming in from KiWiKiD, but Crumbzz is going to be maybe countering this one.
Yeah, the relative strength of the junglers outside of Flash right now is pretty even, so it could definitely just be about who gets the jump on whom.
That's a good clear. Westrice putting quite a bit of gold into that pink ward at the start of the game. It's not even able to be controlled here as they have 2 on the top lane. Now back to the mid. Probably didn't waste too much, but very good jungle sense coming off of this game.
Yeah, good communication between lanes, because Prolly wasn't focused on the top lane about where Lucian would be coming. Right. That was a communication call saying he just killed the pink in top lane, he might be coming down towards mid. Prolly took the safest check that he could, saw him running through.
So let's look at how the bottom lane is going. There were pretty much equal levels going back and forth, but that's 54 to 39. Pretty much what you should see as a Tristana with the explosive shot. And Dignitas with that push, with their bit of advantage, and we saw damage going down to Bubbadub and Robert. They tried to get Dragon, but just the ward placement.
They didn't have any harassment down at that point. So that was really just a, let's hope they don't stop us.
Right. Sustain from Bubbadub, helping to keep Robert and himself in a very good position in that bottom lane. There's the gap close we were talking about. Westrice throws down the ultimate, forces out a very early intervention. That easily gives ZionSpartan the upper hand of this fight as long as he's not slowed and he can get that surge on.
Yeah, not even level 7 or 9 yet, but you can see how Irelia, when closing the distance onto Kayle, can pack a punch just with that one Doran's Blade.
Oh, very aggressive. They're sitting on top of each other, though. Bubbadub and RobertxLEE taking a piercing light.
Yeah, Robert needs to get to a static shiv. They're going to be doing the same strategy, I wonder, if they'll put Tristana mid lane once you get static shiv.
We see the roll him up top. ZionSpartan's going to go hard here, and he's still affecting. KiWiKiD will try to do what he can, and they see the ping out. Prolly's moving for Shiphtur already, and they may do-si-do here in the river if they meet each other. There's that movement. You see the damage coming off more of Prolly's ball move. The dissonance not leveled up yet, so no follow-through.
So laning phase going pretty even for both sides, actually. RobertxLEE getting the shove back in that lane has definitely helped them out substantially. KiWiKiD unable to sustain back up with the Vamp Scepter after taking a few explosive shots.
Let's see if KiWiKiD can get back into position here in the brush. It seems like they've almost given up on those engagements. There's too much sustain for a quick kill to come out without the ultimates. And that's what the bottom lanes are waiting for right now. Teleports used towards that top lane. both of them use, so that's why ZionSpartan wasn't too afraid to do that. Looks like we could have 4v4 dragons coming up quite soon. The blue buff's now delivered over. Even more plausible for that dragon to be coming up.
Yeah, Crumbzz being level 6 is a big power jump for the Elise matchup.
Yep.
But having Tristana on just an Avarice Blade is a really, really sad Tristana. She is not doing much whatsoever, aside from just the base damages of her E and her R. The wards are just barely ahead of Crumbzz everywhere he goes.
He's trying to work
Oh,
those
he got land that!
Oh, no! Trying to work the damage from those 2 longswords. He definitely has up on the stone of Kez. But
if that landed, they may have had enough damage to burst him down. Walking straight through a ward. Yeesh.
Ooh, ZionSpartan putting himself, as you would say, kind of goal side of Westrice there to get more shots in. Westrice taking a few more shots, is forced to flash, flashes in, he gets down the W, and he's able to close out on a single-handed first blood.
That's one of the things Zion is able to do to his opponents in the top lane, and one of the things that Westrice cannot let happen to him. Has been one of his main weaknesses this split is when he dies in the 1v1s. He didn't do it yesterday. He actually beat up on Inox in those 1v1s. He's definitely one to opt into a all-in fight. But that is a little bit disastrous, actually, in the top lane.
He's playing it very well. A game of patience, where he just auto-attacks his health back up, and he's getting the great dives. Really well played. Waited for last pick to get that one out. And ZionSpartan's making it pay off against Westrice. 80 to 73 in that lane. You can see Zion pretty much focusing damage. Having a little trouble here on the bot.
Got to get those last hits, KiWiKiD.
Yep.
Static shiv completed on Robert, so I wonder if he's going to continue to shove bottom or if they're going to try some lane swapping shenanigans.
Yeah.
His Tristana CS was rather impressive in their 65-minute win. But knowing that they have just backed, Crumbzz decides to go. The ward is still there, but this time they have a 5th man, ZionSpartan.
Yeah, this is very good. ZionSpartan having a lead in the top lane doesn't have to worry too much about Westrice. They can come down and make sure this is safe. Kez, though, trying to get a little bit on it, but he cannot get within smite range. Dignitas starts to take a bit of a lead for themselves, which does not look good for compLexity.
You know what, though? With no teleport on ZionSpartan, Westrice could actually take down this turret to compensate compLexity.
This is true. Kayle getting a good push on. Got right through those waves and got right to the turret. So he's going to be 87 to 81.
Oh, geez. If Dignitas loses 2 turrets for this dragon, completely not worth it.
And they're focusing all the pressure up top, so this could continue to push in the bottom lane if they actually see that Crumbzz is up here. The pressure's now relieved on the bottom, and they could keep going. Westrice, he's going to speed himself up and try and run, but that's a bit of a cooldown. He's now crippled Tempest. He's going to go on to Crumbzz and try and get what he can. So they do trade 2 turrets. They lose ZionSpartan. They get the dragon.
Interesting series of events here. Westrice overstaying after that turret. But you could see he did a respectable amount of damage to Crumbzz after the fact. Kayle will always bring damage in the late game. Let's just hope this doesn't turn into one of those games for Westrice.
Just kind of gets focused down. Finds himself right before he kills someone going down.
One of those games where he'd go 0-8 or something. Because honestly, when he starts falling behind, he enters this mindset of his... It's something that compLexity does actually as a team. Once someone dies a few times, they realize they're not worth as much, and they just try and draw as much attention as possible.
So it probably almost said.
Probably's done a little bit. He'll initiate fights that way with Yasuo.
I mean, it don't matter as much anymore, so I'll go in.
Yeah. Westrice will probably just be trying to split push as much as possible, maintain map pressure, but the result of that is going to be a really, really powerful ZionSpartan on Irelia.
Still seeing it being used to great effect over as the top team in Europe. KiWiKiD keeps playing it on Alliance, so she still has a spot in the game when you can put her in the right position. Right now in top lane, handling Westrice's Kayle without really too much help of Crumbzz. We'll see if they can keep it up. 2-0 for him. Bubbadub now trying to get the ward wars going down with KiWiKiD. See if they can keep the vision up in the bottom lane. We're talking a little bit about RobertxLEE loving the Trist, still went with it despite not getting Yasuo in the pick. So it's more than that for them. It's definitely something that they'll look for the late game carry from still without the initiation of Buster Shot.
He hasn't died to a member of Dignitas yet this game on Trist. For those of you just tuning in now, he's like, why is he 0-1?
Yeah.
He had an adventure at level 1.
And there's only 2 kills.
That ended in Dignitas' base.
I don't think we've even seen that very many times in the LCS. Very peculiar position.
Oh.
Look at how much damage he didn't take. That's what the supports were talking about. Braum being strong. He's going to go ahead and, I believe, back here. Soak up KiWiKiD some CS in the bottom lane. So Bubbadub has finished the static shiv. He's going to inadvertently push even more. So they need to make sure they get the wards down. Or RobertxLEE has a static shiv. Bubbadub needs to start getting more wards down so they don't get any dangerous spots on the very hard push of Tristana. Blue buff over to Shiphtur.
And let's actually revisit our featured matchup in the mid lane here.
Yes.
Syndra is a champion generally picked to dominate the lane.
Right.
Orianna is good in lane, but Shiphtur is down in CS to Prolly right now. So Shiphtur will probably still be very effective in team fights, but it just goes to show the laning presence of Shiphtur is very lacking.
Yeah. I really like what he chose to do in the beginning, leveling his E first. You level that, you don't lose out on huge level 1 damage. Intervention being used in the top lane.
You might just go back and kill him.
he could want this, that heal. A little bit bigger than he thought, and he dashes out. I like his safety thought as well. Always giving himself an out if he's going in.
Kez was definitely waiting in the wings.
Yeah. I don't know, you always gotta have an out. Says, oh yeah? No.
It's good damage, actually, from Robert. Getting a little bit zoned off with the turret here. Nice calling by KiWiKiD. Here's
Braum. They got to know this is a tell. Flashes the Glacial Fissure. They're all right. Oh, they got a tidal wave back. 3 of them are going for a ride. The bubble is on KiWiKiD.
About the turret.
They have a good amount of minions here. One last shot. KiWiKiD's rather, his focus on the turret, able to take it down. But they still have to back off of a 2v3 situation, unfortunately.
Oh, dear. Westrice is in a whole world of trouble right now. Zion doesn't even have to burn flash there. And we'll be getting his Trinity Force shortly.
And Kez spending time up here. Kez definitely cannot take down ZionSpartan. But wait, the teleport back in forces the flash. He's not able to get close enough. So a well thought out play there by compLexity. ZionSpartan had to use his summoner.
Yeah, ZionSpartan really just wanted a little bit more gold. He's going to have to wait a few seconds when he gets back to base to purchase that Trinity Force. He would have loved that ward gold. There he gets it.
Good choice. Good choice. compLexity knowing that they've been invaded a little too much to be placing forward wards just yet. They have what they need to take control of their jungle. They're up by 300 gold right now in a pretty crazy game where Dig has been coming up with kills. But they haven't been really pressuring those kills forward. We might see that in 20 seconds with Dragon coming up.
Yeah, if not for the performance of ZionSpartan in the top lane against Westrice, the other 4 members of compLexity would have a decent-sized lead over Dig. Just based off of turrets.
All right. Slow going here as the ward war begins.
Really good harassment early on here, but some pretty good sustain options for compLexity. Bubbadub and Westrice both with heals. Zion going to be pushing that top lane to even out the turret game. The question is, does compLexity go for more turrets, or do they fight at Dragon and cause the teleport for Zion? Some very swingy things could happen any minute.
I like this choice. We've been seeing this a lot more lately when there is that parallel dance to Dragon. You just go for the mid turret if it's still up. An influx of gold, maybe?
compLexity has to make up their mind right now. Westrice just ran partway up to top, back to mid.
Right.
If they give up a turret and a dragon, it would just be a huge, huge failure at this point. They have to make a decisive call because Zion is not going to stop pushing, and he does have that teleport edge. compLexity sitting in the middle of 2 places, not getting either.
And they're not going to be able to move it. Westrice is already leaving the fight. The teleport still being up for ZionSpartan. They were just taking a dance class. Dignitas coming out on top.
Big, big advantage gain for Dig. Mainly because compLexity kind of gave it to him.
Yeah.
Obviously, that is transferred pressure from the top lane of Zion. Westrice had burned his teleport just to try and recover the lane. And then Dignitas used that teleport advantage to manipulate a choice from compLexity. And then compLexity didn't even make a choice.
Right. Dignitas knows they have the upper hand here. You can see compLexity, 3 members mid for just the 2 of Dig. And Crumbzz and Shiphtur are really scrambling to put the pressure where they think it's going to go, acting very reactively as Dig is pretty much making everything happen to the beat of their own drum. See, coming out of base now, they're going to have some more items, and just KiWiKiD farming up, looking to get that Ghost Blade finished before they really get into too much trouble. Looks like ZionSpartan's going to take red and go back to split pushing.
Yeah, with that red buff, he has an even bigger edge.
Oh, yeah.
Onto that Nashor's Tooth Kayle.
Phage speeding him up, already adding his own slow. You can counter the Q slow of Kayle just by dashing in. A really good matchup ZionSpartan's chosen for the top lane. There, that level damage coming in from Prolly's Dissonance, forced to flash out. Very risky play. Prolly likes to toy with danger.
We wanted Crumbzz to go in there. He had his flash up. He could have theoretically kicked him back, but it would have been rather aggressive.
Red buff giving Prolly a little trouble. He gets it. Or Robert.
Robert's farming up.
Easy, but he is farming up. You got to wait for that late game. Tristana's power curve is almost at its weakest right now compared to what Lucian would be bringing to the table.
Absolutely. Ghostblade, Blade of the Rune King. This is the strongest Lucian yet.
A few more shots on the mid turret. This is what compLexity was working on when the Dragon was up. Finally starting to get some pressure onto it now. Bubbadub not getting a hit.
So
RobertxLEE finally getting in range, though, as Bubbadub acting as distraction. This ZionSpartan, though, he is not giving up. Teleports down as well, so they're going to have to make a long haul just to stop this pressure. Dignitas is in command. Even with that loss of mid, they still feel comfortable to just move up and now be the ones that can move right across the top side of that map. Close right in.
Coming at
Whoa! Knowing he can do that just to blow intervention.
Yeah.
Smart play.
And he's just going to keep pressuring.
Oh, yeah.
That crystalline flask. I wonder what Crumbzz wants to do in there.
Well, Dignitas has a 1,000 gold lead at 20 minutes.
At the moment, it wasn't quite there, though, because they just recently gotten this one.
Yep.
Dignitas does play with leads very well. They generally, after 20 minutes, if they have that 1,000 gold lead at 20 minutes, they are 7-0 this year. 1,000 or more gold. But this game was kind of too close for that one. Could go either way.
Woo! Man. Such a stinger for an Orianna.
Yeah.
Missing that ultimate. Have to wait. Not too long of a cooldown. And we'll have to see how they can readjust to get this to happen. It might have to be a ball delivery on Kez if he can get in the fight. We'll have to really keep an eye on that featured matchup in mid. 245 to 218. Not too bad in the CS. We see Shiphtur ready to take some people down, though. He puts the needlessly large rod in that inventory. He's ready to get some ults out. Usually falling behind in CS. So it's almost been according, even with the lane domination of Syndra. He's down about 40.
Yeah, it's definitely turning into a farm game right now. Dignitas not making any big moves. RobertxLEE with his Infinity Edge. Going to continue to power up.
And he's got full rapid fire as well, so he'll be able to use that very nicely on 20-second cooldown. 90% speed, it's not too shabby. Dignitas trying to get some vision, see if they have a few ins on these fights. This would be quite a big escalation of the game if they were able to get something big here.
And Dignitas has a mid-game team with the Lucian, Irelia, Braum. All these things are great in the mid-game. They need to make their move before 40 minutes. Gives them a lot of leeway, but they really do, because if the gold stays close and we hit a super late game, compLexity would have an edge team competition-wise.
ZionSpartan's almost having a field day up here. They haven't sent anything else to him. He's only been building the Triforce, and he's instantly able to go into that Spectral's Cowl. You see, Westrice is hardly doing any damage. I think he's hitting him with a feather right now. And ZionSpartan, if you look at the rest of the team from compLexity, he doesn't have too much hard crowd control to be dealing with in a full fight. So the bigger he gets, this game's going to get a lot harder for compLexity.
Dig might just start playing around Baron right now. They just saw where Robert was, and they know they've taken so many turrets, plus have very, very strong control of compLexity's jungle over there.
And what another big change that has been for Dignitas. to play around Baron and feel comfortable. Something that Crumbzz
Yeah.
was talking about previously and saying, this is what we use to win the game now, not a choose-your-own-adventure book that you don't know where it's going.
Kind of goes to show Dignitas didn't really know what they were doing in the past, but with their player talent, knowing how to use Baron, they are, with the win here, first place at the end of SuperWeek in the NA LCS. So
Looking for
the
the
Baron game
dream.
will begin right now with their mid-game strength.
Yeah.
The perfect time for them to force and perfect vision control.
Rabadon's also finished up for Shiphtur, so he's far and ahead more powerful than Prolly is coming in here. Different ultis to be used, but I don't think they're going to get used. That Baron's dropping real quick, 2,500 HP already. And it's going to be locked down by Dignitas. Bubbadub! Woo! Thought he was going to catch a sonic wave to the face, but he will not. He will get the ward in safely. And Westrice, are they going to try to dictate the mid push?
I don't know about this compLexity. They're going to be looking at the Dragon, but that would be a 5v5 against a freshly Baron team.
I was going to say a mid wave isn't really something to just draw a team
against a
away.
Baron team with 5 people.
Oh, man.
Who can they catch?
Oh,
KiWiKiD!
wait a minute! Oh, they got KiWiKiD! What a play for compLexity! But can they follow through? It's still a Baroned up Dignitas. RobertxLEE is in the right spot. He doesn't make the flash over the wall, but he does get enough sustain coming from Bubbadub. ZionSpartan, we talked about this guy, and he comes into the fight with a double kill. He is huge. Kez trying to hit up Crumbzz. He gets himself over the wall to safety, but it looks like compLexity traded 3 kills for the 2. Now they're on to Bubbadub. It starts going well in favor of Dignitas here. Kez trying to get out. KiWiKiD hits the Winter's Bite, and they may be able to get it down, locking down the Blade Surge from ZionSpartan. It's the crawl, but he doesn't have enough speed to get out. It's going to be a full ace from coast to coast on the map for Dignitas.
Yep, that's the move Dignitas wanted to make, and it goes all the way across. It definitely caught Dig by surprise when this fight started, but only shockwaving one is so pretty big because the rest of Dig is still a strong force together. ZionSpartan in particular, we knew he was going to be a problem. He's able to go and finish off the Tristana, and then the chase potential of the Braum, Lucian, Irelia was too much. Plus they took the Dragon, as you see in the split screen down there. But yeah, flashing for the Winter's Bite. Kez did get the smite on the way out.
Yeah.
So bumps to him. There was just no escape.
That's great. He really hit everything he needed to on the way out, but too much. Especially once ZionSpartan hit that. Those gap closers, so efficient as well. Stand behind me, Elise and Safeguard. It's almost like a new Bash Brothers composition that you can use. So it looks like Dignitas has taken that gold lead at 20 minutes of 1,000, and they've brought it up to about 6,000 gold now.
Yep.
That's going to be really something they can start to run with.
Well, they took all the objectives.
Oh, yeah.
So now it's just a matter of them finding ways to siege up turrets and getting past the wave clear. There's a chance this could lead to a pretty big lull in the game if Dignitas doesn't find a catch, only because Zion is so heavily in damage right now. And KiWiKiD hasn't itemized armor yet. They don't actually have anyone on their team that can adequately take turret shots right now.
Zion's Blade of the Rune King came out of nowhere.
Yeah, he picked up a couple kills in that fight.
5-0-2 on the game right now. Really a star player coming into this matchup. It doesn't play Irelia that often either. Really able to remember the skills, like riding a bike.
Yeah.
Diving back
Just able
in.
to go back to base and buy that from nothing. Shows he had a little bit of gold.
And he can still completely free farm. When you got a guy that create this much pressure, compLexity, they got so many things to think about right now. No wrong moves can be made because each time a small move is made, Dignitas can take a mile. Warding up mid, even getting the mid wards across the map. Dignitas is going to be well pushed up, so their minion waves going to be giving them vision as compLexity soaks that up. Oh! ZionSpartan finds Westrice again.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah. I was going to say that's probably not going to mean much. That's all right. Just wash him off. He'll get out of there easy.
Well, that's the catch. Nah, that's another one.
This is just Dignitas knowing they have the complete upper hand now, chat. They're really putting down the force versus compLexity. And you have to. compLexity is a team that can find a way to crawl back, and Dignitas is shutting that door.
Yeah, what a performance by ZionSpartan right here. 6-0-2. He really is just destroying Westrice every time he gets a look at him 1v1.
He's all over it every time we see him going in. being very aggressive this game. And ZionSpartan can turn that on and off. Seems like he can either play his own game or he will take the commands of the team. Crumbzz now sharing experience with him in the bottom lane. Great wards as well. With Baron down, they're playing the far inhibitor style game. They're going to be spreading out compLexity thin here.
KiWiKiD farming up for that Infinity Edge as well. The stalling of compLexity will be rather difficult. The next Baron looks pretty uncontestable as far as we're at right now, knowing they're down pretty much every relevant defense turret except that middle tier 2, which is in a couple hits.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to stay very long.
Yeah.
2 minutes onto Dragon. It'll be a take on the turret and a good push up towards that, or Baron rather. ZionSpartan towards the bottom lane. He's going to give Westrice another visit. I'm sure he doesn't really want it. A very unwelcome visit.
Yeah.
Seeing a compLexity try and adjust to this game. Been a little difficult. Only 2 kills. 1 for Westrice, 1 for KeZ. Nothing's been capitalized off of that. With Dignitas holding so much pressure, kudos to them.
Yeah, Dignitas just had such a mid-game team, as well as ZionSpartan rolling that top lane over and cascading that pressure down to the rest of the map. This has been the game of ZionSpartan so far.
More ward coverage cleared out. Where's the pick compLexity can get? Nobody can really initiate for this team. You're going to have to hit a perfect shockwave that's really only been available on one person, as Dignitas is staying spread out in the fights. Really understanding the composition they're up against and using theirs very effectively. And somehow, out of champions, like getting Braum for KiWiKiD. Lee Sin for Crumbzz.
Yeah, I mean,
really well played.
Nami before it.
Oh,
it's him
my
again.
God. He just can't help himself. ZionSpartan going very hard onto Westrice.
Such a pressure move right there. Burning the intervention for pretty much nothing and just maintaining that pressure in the bottom lane.
Still going very strong. Again, he's going to go for it once again. He blew his flash on that, but he'll be able to Blade Surge out if he positions these minions correctly. Still seeing with the Banshee's Veil there, he has built up. He's drawing both Prolly and Westrice down to that bottom lane, as we're going to have maybe, I was going to say a 1-3-1 here. KiWiKiD split pushing top lane by himself.
Yeah, they're just trying to be distractions right now. Probably playing a little bit cheeky at this point because they're just waiting on that Baron respawn. But they're testing the waters to see how willing compLexity is to commit to things.
Kiwi's just, don't worry guys, I got this farm. Sharing relics with himself. Oh, Baron's ready? I'm coming. Don't worry. Here.
I'll be there. Braum probably the worst possible wave clear from a single champion.
Hey man, you ult that wave. They're all getting knocked up. See if they can get the ward clears. Doubly cleared using the sweep route on the pink. 3 seconds on Dragon as well. Oh man, they could rewrite the story of last battle.
Oh, Zion is bottom lane. That'll be an interesting.
Teleports are up.
Yep.
You got ZionSpartan. He can teleport freely though. He won't be stopped by Westrice. That's a different story if you look at the flip side of the coin. And Dignitas has not been too worried about this mid wave just crushing into their turret. Things you can kind of relax on when you're this far ahead.
Yep. This could be the final contest though. Dig doesn't have the absolute vision control like they had prior, and teleports are a threat.
Oh, KeZ up and down. Enough pressure there. Drawing out the culling.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Westrice teleported before Zion right here. So compLexity is in a whole world of trouble right now. They're
Zion's
hitting the Baron.
Also making the run so he can teleport back after all is said and
He's
done
looking
here.
to flank from behind,
he
too.
Is very much so going to flank. They had a good ward. He could have teleported to, but he's also, oh, baby. He's also in a bad spot with the team not being able to gap close very quickly. He reconsiders a little bit there.
Teleport went down as well. Where did he come from?
Yeah, he did actually TP.
He canceled it. Zion canceled his TP as he was going in. He tried to move too quickly.
So now he can't teleport back. I'm a liar. 8-2. Just about 10,000 gold lead in favor of Dignitas here if you are grand short. We're going to go ahead. compLexity will be getting the Dragon. They're trying to make a move here. It's not really, well, I guess it would be. It's pretty late in the game. We have 16s and whatnot.
That's a pretty good move there by compLexity.
Yeah. Definitely getting a little bit of gold back that they need. Well moving for Dignitas here. We'll see if they can get compLexity to kind of walk back towards the Baron. If not, we'll have ZionSpartan back to the bottom lane. But right now, he's sticking with the team. It looks like they are really ready to pressure compLexity into something they don't want. Zanya's almost finished up onto Prolly, but he does not have it to
That's a look of danger right there. Thousands of units of map space between compLexity and Baron. That very well could have been a Dig Baron. At least compLexity has them in their sights right now. They need to get some wards over those walls. But they just do not have the throughput of wards right now.
Nope. They don't really have safety for any members on their team. They use Tidal Wave and they can really be engaged on here.
Over the back.
Very nicely played. KiWiKiD trying to get in close enough, and they do peel it off. There was no real knowledge.
Yeah, and the Baron's going to be so low at this point because they've been on it.
Yep.
It looks like Dignitas is clearing, but they're actually doing the Baron.
Yeah. They just took complete control. They think they have a few more seconds. Oh, but it's already down. Dignitas playing very well.
compLexity saying, how'd they do it so fast? I guess they were doing it over the back. That was a really slick move by Dig.
Nicely controlled. compLexity finally getting themselves down to this mid lane. Dig has to back, so they will get a bit of map out of this.
Robert really manning up.
Doing what they have to do. Not the same type of game for RobertxLEE either. A 0-2-1. He's had usually a few kills to himself by this point, and he can be more effective in AD carry. They still have to play careful.
compLexity going to try the trap again against a Baron team? No.
That was a ping out. Somebody said no.
They really, someone on this team really wants it, whether it's Prolly or Westrice.
It might be, Kez is out of here.
Yeah.
Kez has been the one gone. He's usually the shot caller, so he's probably saying, let's go. Westrice says, I'll farm and keep this pressure on the lane. Baron down, there's no reason not to do that in the bottom. Looks like Dignitas is going to start to answer. compLexity doing what they can, but this middle tier turret is going to be the next target.
Robert is farming up a pretty substantial margin.
He's got a good clip.
We knew that was going to happen on Tristana, 390. But the power of Dignitas is ever increasing. They would have wanted to close this game a little bit earlier. Just haven't been able to find the windows. The Baron TP cancel by Zion really hurt that, I think.
Yeah, that would have been a huge play, especially if they would have pinched and gotten back. But overall, just staying in the bottom lane would have worked.
Really wide culling shot there by KiWiKiD, not landing substantial harass.
KiWiKiD keeping himself in the front. Let's see, KiWiKiD also not using that Ghost Blade. Usually was a big proponent of that. Crumbzz looking to get some sight over the wall from Sonic Waves. Doesn't look like he'd be too afraid to take it too if he got the right target. Being so close to the front here. It's really just a stalemate. Good wave here from Westrice. He uses the intervention and is forced to flash. The entire team backed off as he took control there to clear the wave by himself. Very dangerous.
Definitely not Westrice's game today. 1-4-1, but getting caught in a lot of subsequent situations that put the team in a bind. They really needed that intervention to prevent a dive because these are not easy turrets to defend. And this time a good culling by Imaqtpie. Shockwave though!
That was a good hit. KiWiKiD goes down. The tidal wave is beautiful as well. It's going to be Dignitas trying to surf out of this one. Shiphtur gets hit up. A few more shots. Robert flashes. He gets the explosive hit. One more. Another reset. No, he cannot get it. Crumbzz gets out of that one, and ZionSpartan is left wondering now as compLexity is going to start pushing mid lane.
My God,
40 seconds on the clock.
The shockwave bubble combo there from Prolly and Bubbadub destroyed the Dignitas seat. They did not have a heavily armored target to tank these things, and KiWiKiD getting caught is disaster. First inhibitor looks like it's going to go to compLexity.
This is incredible. The game can always change in a matter of seconds. compLexity looked on the back foot the entire time. Very smart to move out of the base here. They have minions crashing into the top, and they also need to push the waves out anyways.
And the triple kill by RobertxLEE means he's only going to get more farm from here. Because he was so low, it didn't seem like he was a threat, but a heal from Kayle and a shockwave on a KiWiKiD with no Braum shield to prevent those things from hitting him. Tidal wave also goes through.
Fighting under the turret.
Knocked him up. And then it's just RobertxLEE playing cleanup crew. Almost looked like he could get the quadra.
Got the flash there too.
But a very quick jump away from Crumbzz. Oh dear.
Very nice play by compLexity. This late in the game, that'll give Dignitas something else to think about. May kind of reconsider some of these calls, but we may see Dig try to put the pedal to the metal and just go through with one final push. 30 seconds on Dragon. Not looking at Baron anymore for these guys as well. It's been great for compLexity to hold off those two Barons and be the first one to take an inhib.
Yeah. Just a crazy development, you know. Dignitas not really being able to close the door in that mid game. We mentioned if the gold was still close at 40 minutes, that this game could still go the way of compLexity. ZionSpartan, while he has destroyed Westrice this entire game, the 40-minute Irelia is not the most feared Irelia.
Nope. And if we think about it, all odds are against Dignitas. Their last games of the week are not the ones they win.
Yeah.
compLexity has everything going for him here. They just need to get on the other side of the map.
Just one shockwave.
Down more inhibs.
One shockwave from Prolly, turning so much around.
There's so much consecutive crowd control, and they used it perfectly. Like you said, shockwave, bubble, and then as they hit the ground, they were bounced up by tidal wave. Really not even a chance for KiWiKiD to think about attacking in that fight. With that knowledge, though, we'll see if Dignitas can kind of scatter a little bit and not get caught by a double bubble command shockwave. Very intricate coordination needed for that to happen from compLexity. Let's see if they can do it again. Rabadons across the boards for your solo lanes on the side of compLexity. That Zhonya's is finished up for Prolly now as well for a bit more playmaking. Still very low kills in this game. Teams seem to be just moving around each other and getting what they want.
compLexity had that 65-minute game yesterday. Just saying, they have been able to win these drawn-out ones.
Yep.
Dignitas is on the declining part of their power curve right now, whereas compLexity is reaching a stronger point.
Crumbzz is going to fall off. KiWiKiD won't output the same damage Robert will. Things are slowly working out for compLexity. Patience is something I have been amazed by in these teams that don't have the most amount of stage experience in front of a crowd as well. Things get tough. It becomes a mental game and a physical game as we get this late. compLexity seems like they can thrive in that position. Dignitas may have waited a little too long or even a little too much power on one person. 6-0 and 2 for ZionSpartan. That pressure's been in split push right now, and he's the one that can really wreak havoc in a fight here.
Yeah, the Baron control might be where they try to get this one back, though. It is a bit of an interesting choice by compLexity because they have two options here. They can try and contest the Baron, which is very high risk. They're already down 9,000 gold without vision control. Or they can just try and maneuver elsewhere. I think what they're doing now is getting split pushing going and trying to take some objectives while Dig does this one. We know compLexity can hold the turret. The way they lose is if they die trying to contest Baron and then get pushed down the mid lane. But here they come.
Dig could have a bad situation. Westrice forced. What a teleport. It really puts him into a bad situation. Now with intervention down, we're going to have to be very careful of Prolly's positioning, or RobertxLEE and Prolly's situation of positioning in this fight. A nice shockwave. KiWiKiD gets hit up. He did take a shot from Baron there, but it's enough to get sustained back up from his team. ZionSpartan and the rest of the team quickly focusing onto Westrice, making sure that he goes down. And it looks like they are going to be able to walk around this Baron. RobertxLEE gets the jump out with Guardian Angel on, but everybody's very low. I love the dance that they're allowed to make happen here. That's the play from Shiphtur. Zonya, the last shot was in the air, traveling to kill him, and he goes for the safety there. Axe being used, comes in, it's going to be Crumbzz. They get out with this one. Another Baron. 4 out of 5 this game for Dig. The teleport now coming in from ZionSpartan. A forward teleport to try and cut off compLexity getting into their own base.
2 positional errors that fight from Westrice, which was really the turning point. Great play by Shiphtur to Zonya's that really saved them. And now this was the play that compLexity could lose the game with. What an interrupt. They're pushing mid.
What a play. The whole team of Dignitas thinking outside the box here, making sure they get everything they want. Sure, ZionSpartan will go down, but they're losing an inhibitor. Dignitas gets back what they've lost so far, and their inhibitors respawned right now, so they have minions in their favor.
Yeah. Wow. Definitely some messy play there by compLexity. One of the only ways they lose this game, it felt like, was losing a big fight there at Baron. And they exposed their inhibitor wall, so Dignitas has more to work with now, along with the Baron buff. But Robert somehow stays alive throughout all of that. And then gets a shutdown kill onto Zion.
Some good gold for him. That Guardian Angel's now down in that fight, though. We're going to get back into a game of full items here, chat. We'll see who can really organize their inventory the best. Backpacks are getting tight these days, and you got some big items to be thrown in. Coming up on 44 minutes, a 10,000 gold lead for Dignitas as somehow compLexity is still inching their way back into this game. A very hard fight for them they have to come off of now as Dignitas grabs Baron. So they cannot make any more errors coming out with this inhibitor down.
No, they cannot. They've been able to get away with a lot to this point.
Yeah,
Dignitas
way more than
not
they
really
should have.
Exactly, Dignitas not showing the killer instinct that would befit the #1 team in North America. But if they win that game, that is exactly what they will be. Guaranteed by the end of the week as well.
Looking around. Gotta remember how still big Westrice can get. Kayle can always put out some big damage. He's got the Void Staff completed. Very slow movement by everybody on both sides of the map. Nobody's really committing to anything right now until the waves are in position. We've seen too many times somebody get picked off and it'd be the end of the game.
Well, wave clear is going to be a very big priority. Prolly having to go back before he can get the wave shoving, only because the defense cannot wait. He really needs a Void Staff as well on that Orianna build.
Yeah.
That'll be very, very critical.
Really looking at a lot of magic resistance. He cannot penetrate right now. You're absolutely right. Shockwave really being used for crowd control here. We've only seen it used accordingly a few times. If Prolly can hit a nice one, though, we saw how much it controlled the game. ZionSpartan is just toying with the rest of compLexity.
Just looking imposing. Yeah, this is the way they do it. They put Zion in the side, or they wait until Westrice gets drawn that way, or anyone really, and then go for a big Shiphtur ultimate on someone with no intervention there to prevent the damage.
And they don't really have sufficient clear as well. They have the Ori and the Kayle, but you got to get into a pretty scary spot to make that happen. You're always in range. RobertxLEE, he has at full capacity on that range now at level 18. I think we have level 18s all across the map except for your supports. Crumbzz is waiting to get there, but he should. Right there. Shiphtur grabbing blue. Slowly getting the rest of what they need, so this fight gives them, or they have the most advantages they can as they get into this fight. But they are really giving a lot of respect to a Shockwave, Tidal Wave, and Bubble.
They know what happened last time.
They're not taking steps on that.
And Imaqtpie opted to go 0 defense on his build, despite getting caught out. A little bit arrogant, actually.
Those 2 kills are out of position in fight, or deaths, I should say, for him. Let's see if he can keep himself on the back line a little bit more. There's no real Kog'Maw to be worried about, but RobertxLEE only need 3 shots. Kaz getting hit up, a little bit of poke damage. Nothing comes for free, though, as they try to get themselves in for a little bit more. ZionSpartan, they really not committing to too much just yet. Now the inhibitor's up, they have something to play around.
They really were not getting shots on that middle turret.
No.
Prolly's a little bit low on mana, though. They would kill this turret pretty fast.
PewDiePie with good focus. Crumbzz just trying to be chaotic.
The actual attack damage on PewDiePie isn't that high. He's got a lot of crit in his build.
Crit attack speed, yeah.
Yeah, so not the fastest turret killer on Lucian here. Trinity Force
not
blocks.
seeing the Trinity Force Sheen hit. Usually that's something that goes down very fast. The Lucian will be in and out by himself. Quickly get a few shots on. PewDiePie's very on the back foot this game. To a 4-2-1 RobertxLEE, so even if the 1v1 would come up, he'd have to be very careful.
Jeez, and they lose their Baron buff without getting objectives.
3rd Baron now.
Yep.
Held off.
They look to take this next dragon, but the only people this will help in itemization is Braum and Lee Sin, because Zion, Shiphtur, and Imaqtpie are already sitting at 6 items. They could still do maybe like a Zephyr on Imaqtpie, or boot and trinket upgrades. But outside of that, they're not really getting much more out of those builds.
And that's going to hurt, because they may be 12,000 gold in the lead, but that 12,000 gold doesn't reflect being down for Tristana. She's still going to be a late game hyper carry. He's still going to be putting out damage even if the team is hurting. Something you really have to consider. You may feel like you're ahead in gold, but the other team will still do something to turn it right on your head. Very lonely for everyone. Everybody else is out farming around.
Zephyr on Imaqtpie. More attack speed on Lucian. Colin will fire many quick shots. This is a really bold call by compLexity.
Got to be bold.
Well, they are a bold team, not afraid to take risks. They've made a lot of mistakes this game, but are still in a pretty good pole position here. They are in here. Crumbzz behind them.
KiWiKiD goes in hard. Kez is going to be the first one hit up. Ooh, RobertxLEE and Kez both getting hit with Scat of the Week.
They still have intervention.
Wow, what? That was great. Crumbzz just kicking RobertxLEE. He says, this is my jungle. Gets him out of the way, and they're going to be able to clear this one out. RobertxLEE not wasting too much on that. Guardian Angel's still up, but he did use the Summoner heal quickly. Got to be careful in this next engage.
Still Shockwave. There actually weren't ultimates used by compLexity in that entire move.
Nope.
Whereas the Braum,
oh my
Sin,
gosh.
and Syndra ultimate are down. compLexity with the sustain has the edge here to take this inhibitor down.
A 12,000 gold deficit push coming in from Dignitas. Or coming in from compLexity on Dignitas. 5 to 7 in turrets. The inhibitor's the focus. Westrice gonna get the intervention out. He has locked himself up into safety with that. ZionSpartan's throwing out the blades if he can get any more damage in to deter an attack coming in from compLexity. The wave just going through the entire team of COL from Dignitas, and there is no re-engage. Can compLexity bring them into a false sense of security here? Not
Baron
too sure.
is up. The Syndra ultimate back. Intervention has been burned, but it will be up quickly again. This very well may be the game. 50.5 minutes in, if we see them fight over this Baron. If not, it seems like compLexity knows how to stall.
This is absolutely another amazing game coming out of SuperWeek.
Scrying Arm gives him vision temporarily, but this thing's going down way too fast.
Locked it up. Kez a little too close there. Mana's not good. Prolly is so low on mana. What are they even doing trying to get an engage on this fight? Prolly gets out with a flash. He's quite safe in the situation now. The shockwave is huge, but can he answer with more? Robert misses Shiphtur. He's right over the wall. There's the shot, but he waited too long. Robert wasn't firing that whole entire time in the fight, but the rest of the team has locked it up.
Did not suffer a single casualty.
I can't believe how
the teleport from Westrice to try and get this down. 60-second death timers. They may have just taken down Dignitas for a second time.
How many times this week has a team won down by 10,000 gold? I don't even have the fingers on my hand anymore to count. It's going to be another game won by compLexity, being the underdogs coming out. They just had to wait. Their patience, the mechanics, the ability to play on the live stage as ZionSpartan says, follow me. compLexity's having none of it. 51-50 into the game. Yes, compLexity takes down Dignitas again.
Rib, there were times in that game where it didn't seem like compLexity knew exactly what they were doing. But as RobertxLEE has said in the past, how do you fight against a team that has no idea what they're doing? And I think that encapsulates that game. It was a tough one for compLexity, but somehow, 52 minutes in, they take down the #1 team in North America.
And they lock out any 4-0 SuperWeeks.
Yeah, 4-0 SuperWeeks cannot happen. A big letdown for Dig after making such giant moves in the mid-game, but never being able to close. You can tell that game stressed out Bubbadub a little bit.
Yeah. Very stressed indeed. Overall map control and strength provided from ZionSpartan this game. He was all over Westrice all game. And Westrice somehow persevered along with the rest of the team. The mentality to take the late game. It's what they needed. And that last fight was so chaotic. RobertxLEE was standing still for so long, but he realized that the rest of the team already had the fight controlled. It was so beautifully played, and Dignitas, really, they have to be wondering after that one. They were at the front of the base.